Wolf on the front there in the green, just moving up through. So let's watch the tactics. Any easing up? Well, freewheeling from RMO, but somebody must tell him to keep the whip out. There we are. Gerospi for Banesto. They're all sitting up again. It's trickled a little bit. Oh, there's 4 split off the front of that one. Hey, and 2 at the back, but they're all over the place at the moment now, aren't they? That's Carrera. Jalabert. Well, these are the remnants of what was around about 20 riders, so they weren't all caught when the bunch got up to them again. So this will make it very difficult indeed for the chase there. De Wolf has gone straight the way through. He's looking back to see what's happened to the peloton. I can't think that he's going to drive across. He's going to wait then because he's got to do work for Bunyo, looking down in there. The RMOs have been swept up and they're in the midst of that little lot right now. And looks like Breukink coming through for the PDM team. Of course, with Alcala in there as well, they've got a good climber which could help them towards a stage victory today. Many teams haven't scored stage victories in this race so far, and the mountain climbers must be saying, well, it's about time we had a chance of getting a stage, and looking forward to a climb like today. And yet they've got that group out still in front. Johan Museeuw, having got up there, he must have come back because he wasn't originally in the leading group over the top of that big climb, the first category climb up the La Célève. So he's wound his way back up again. So the green jersey, as we had the first sprint of the day, Abdul Japarov got that ahead of Museeuw and Jalabert in 3rd spot. He's fighting hard, Museeuw, to get that green jersey back again, as looked as if De Wolf is still persisting up the front for some reason. On the green points jersey, as we went into this stage, Jalabert had 171 points, Museeuw 162, so 9 points separated them, and Museeuw in fact pipped a couple of points back at the sprint, which we had just at the start of the race. So we're now looking back up again with the leaders here. Roche on the front. Well, the crowd always appreciative of seeing a breakaway. They like nothing better than riders coming through and giving them something to cheer rather than the big bunch going through. In years gone by, certainly the Tour, you'd have maybe a bit of a promenade for the first 2/3 of the race, and then they'd race like stink for the last couple of hours, particularly when the telly came on, and the big riders could control it, especially with the big teams. But right now, with 22 teams in the race and a lot of young riders who are determined to show, then we just don't get a consistent race that you can actually read like an open book. Something's happening all day and every day. And here, Jäermann at the back then, the Swiss rider, not going to aid this chase either, because although he doesn't ride for the Helvetia team, up in front is countryman Jörg Müller, who comes from Grenich. And Müller then just some, 31 years of age, very experienced rider indeed, is trying ahead to get himself a stage victory, and nowhere will Jäermann, even though he rides for a different team, I think, aid that chase down at the moment, let the others do the work. Here we are, splintering all over the place. Well, the gap is coming down all the time. The latest time check we've got is now down to 3 minutes, despite the efforts at the front to go consistently. This burst that was put in by RMO seems to have brought the gap down to 3 minutes. At one time it was up to 4.5 minutes, then down to 4. Now it's coming down all the time. So technically the yellow jersey looks a bit safe, but we've still got to climb that last big hill. And there he is, sitting on Bunyo's wheel. You'll usually find them pretty well close together. Indurain, Bunyo, Lino, letting their teams do all the chasing down. A fair way back off the front of this one, but still the string is getting some pace up yet again. And I'm not surprised then that they started to flag these riders, because Muller, Jäermann and Philipot were away on their attack as we came off the top of the Côte de la Chalande. They went away there for just around about 128 kilometres had been covered, and so they're getting now toward the point when they've been out well over 100 kilometres. Roche didn't start to attack until over the top of the de la Salève. In fact, he was up there with about 185 kilometres. He launched his attack forward as well, so he's had now something like about 50 kilometres in this leading group. And Perini likewise had a long stretch on his own, so they'll be a bit tired. Delgado got across sitting on Roche's wheel, so he got a bit of a tow up to this group. Philipot has been sitting there as well, getting a tow. So it's all down to two Carrera riders, whilst Banesto, in fact, are probably gaining slightly from the tow that they're getting. Here, Muller is still in the lead. What time is it? What time is that there? 3:30. Okay. I've lost my watch. So just checking the time. I actually left my watch off today, so we're having to check the time that they're going in to finish. We should be finishing at in Central European time at round about 4:30. So we've got an hour of racing left ahead. That gap is coming down, so perhaps you see the Alps up in front and the Mont Blanc is way over the distance. They're going to finish on a climb that was won by Claviola when we last came here on the top of this climb. So that was way back in 1990 that Claviola got that Saint-Gervais stage. As we're looking to the man who must surely think his time is numbered, but nevertheless he's pressing on. He's heading in a bit towards Switzerland, so perhaps it's the sort of sniff of home territory which is keeping him going. Constantly, look at his eyes on the road ahead. And there he is back in live action. Well, if you just joined the programme, let me tell you the rundown on what happened this morning as we're watching this one lone rider out in the lead. As we started on this stage, which is the longest of the tour, 267.5 miles. The first sprint went to Abdou Diaprop. Museeuw was second, Jalabert was in third spot. We've had 4 climbs today. The first of the 2 third category climbs were taken by Chiappucci. He didn't feature in the third climb up the fourth one after 107 kilometres, but he's battling it up the de Chalon after 116, and he got second place behind Cercoli. So in fact Chiappucci now has been scoring sufficient points to preserve that polka dot jersey. Hello. And a call coming up here for the team car. In fact, they're well ahead of schedule. The information I'm getting now, they're about 20 kilometres from the finish. Well, the speed seems to have dropped out of this group at the moment at the front, and the gap is coming down all the time. The green jersey of Jalabert closely marked in by Museeuw. We've got a sprint at 545 metres. That's the height of the sprint. On the flat, actually, we're just a bit above sea level. 252 kilometres being covered, but they won't be featuring in the scoring because only the top 3 men score points. So Jalabert can ease back a bit here in his battle to keep Museeuw from taking that jersey. Still, when they get up to the top of the climb, there's going to be points as well again today, as are on every day when the stages finish in the Tour. And so the green jersey, I think, will be quite happy to just sit with Museeuw at the moment and then wait till we start the climb and just pop away off the front. You don't get as many points, by the way, on the hilly stages as you do on the flat ones. And so right now today, as they're going over the ones with some fairly big climbs in it, there'll be 25 points for the first rider over the top, 22, 20, 18 and so on. So there's like a couple of points difference between 22 and 20 for third and fourth place. And if they keep Roche and the rest away, then they'll only be battling for 1 point between them. So I would have thought that Jalabert is quite happily going to keep an eye on Museeuw. But whilst we've been talking there about the points battle that's going on, certainly the one now to preserve the yellow jersey has been entered into with Pascal Lino's RMO team beginning to get back on the front and back to work. As I said before, they're sponsored by a company that has a temporary working arrangement. If you want to go and get some secretaries or bulldozer diggers and drivers and chaps who are going to drive lorries for you or work in your factory, then RMO are the people that do that. So they're now back to work, the RMO team, for the yellow jersey, who's just moving his way up now. And also aiding that chase, we have Gatorade, who are looking after the interests of Bunyo, who started out this morning 4:39 down in 5th place. All due credit then to this young rider who has become the toast of France, and let's hope that unlike when he said he rode the Tour last year and he lost 10 minutes on the mountains when he just blasted on the final climbs, let's hope that experience and of course that yellow jersey will lift him. France certainly having one of the best years in bicycle racing, although they started out, they just got 74, at least beginning of this year, 74 registered professionals, and there was some concern with only 3 big teams and a couple of minor ones. They wouldn't be featuring, and all the journalists had virtually written them off at the start this year, but undoubtedly it has been extremely successful in the Tour so far as France is concerned, even though we've been spending most of our time travelling outside the boundaries of France. If you haven't caught up with the results, Fignon won the day for yesterday into Mulhouse. That was one for the French victory. Another French victory was way back into Valkenburg when De Leon won that one. Jalabert won the stage into Brussels, and we've had them in that yellow jersey right the way through because, well, after Zuluk got rid of it on the stage 1, Varank took it over, then Lino took it over on stage 3, and he's had it now for something like 9 days. This will be, I think, his 10th day in the yellow jersey, and if he keeps this up for another 3 or 4 days, he'll go past Bartot's record of 13 days, which was the record for a Frenchman in the yellow jersey. But we've got some big hills. See, look at that lot in front. Those massive mountains. The riders then can look ahead, and this is where the epic races of the Tour have been fought out over the years. And there you can see the red marker going along towards where they are now, and there we are, 243 kilometres yet to go. So the information I got 20 kilometres to go on my other headphone was a bit wrong, because we've still got 24 to go, and Delgado still sitting in there. So with 24 kilometres yet left in this race, the sprint at Salanches, that happens with 15 kilometres to go. So right now at the moment they're coming up to Magland, and then Salanches with the next big town where they have the sprint. Still Roche hanging on for grim death. So those 24 kilometres or so in English money, that's round about 14 miles, I suppose, 14, 15 miles. And look at the sweat pouring off Perini. It's absolutely pouring down off him. Very, very, very hot day indeed. So the gap then is growing back up again. There's 50 seconds between Muller up in the front and this little group you're seeing here, but still over 4 minutes back then to Lino and to Indurain and that group behind them. So there's still a chance they're going back again. The disrupted activity we've been seeing, because the chasers behind haven't been coordinated. They've been sweeping up odd riders. They've had to get back and get the rhythm going, get back in the right wheels, get them to understand what's necessary. And every time that happens, oh, keep your fingers crossed over there in Ireland, and get your rosaries out and do some praying, because Roche was easing himself out the saddle. He'd been having a hot poultice type plaster put on his back to help with the pain he's been suffering with his back, and he was standing up then on the pedals and easing that back then. Got time to smile. Thank you very much indeed. I should think so. So Uriarte giving us a smile for Banesto team, who still think pretty confidently, I suppose. Well then, Christophe Manin, another of these young riders. He's got a nasty way of putting his crash out on the back of his head, but allow the air to go through and keeping cool. Dirk de Wolf decided not to have a crash out on your head. 25% of your body heat goes out through your head, so it's often worthwhile having no hat on at all under these conditions. Ruth Kabastani on the front, so they've got Gatorade and RMO then. all the Gatorade riders coming up then. 50 seconds back to Roche and 4:14 back then to the main group at kilometre 23 yet to go. Well, Roche must be licking his lips still on this one then. 4:30. As I said this morning, he started out just about 3 minutes down on Indurain and 4:15 down on Pascolino. So still technically at the moment, Roche has that yellow jersey just by a gnat's whisker. There's not much in it. We've still got that big climb to come when this group, if they can pull it back down again. Before we hit the climb, by the way, that's only with last 6 kilometres to go. So if we've got 23 kilometres at this point now from the finish, by quick piece of mental arithmetic, which I was never very good at school, 17 kilometres are ahead of these riders before they hit the bottom of the hill. So 17 kilometres, yes, 17 it is, or thereabouts, before they start the climb up towards the top, as Dirk de Wolf driving hard for Gatorade on his Bianchi bicycle, that lovely lustre colour. We're going to finish Siesta tomorrow, where the great Redoubtable Fausto Coppi used to have his great moments, and of course he was a great Bianchi rider of years gone by. Now, yet again then, the riders here charging along, trying to get inside that 4-minute gap, because the concern has got to be now that the yellow jersey could be under threat. Even if Roche doesn't get it today, he's just shown that he's got guts and courage, and we've got a real humdinger of a day tomorrow when the riders, let me have a look at the route tomorrow while we're at it. Saint-Gervais, Mont Blanc, we still have tomorrow to Sestriere, and in fact tomorrow we've got 2 first category climbs and 1 Hope category climb up the Col de Iseran, which is the one that when we were talking earlier on about the snow on the top of the mountains, it was impossible for Indurain to go and ride over it because it was snowed over. That's 2,770 metres above sea level. So, and it's all the way mountains tomorrow. About every sort of, I don't know, about every 40, 50 kilometres, they hit a thumping big mountain tomorrow. So the if Roche can get close to that, that is still going to give him a wonderful chance tomorrow of having a go at that yellow jersey. Oh, he's cramped up. Oh, dear me. Muller, who was only some 50 seconds, he looks like he's suffering cramp, and I think he's decided he might as well sit up now and wait. Sensible thing, I think, to do, just stretch his muscles a bit like that, and in the hot conditions, when your liquid's going out of your body and you're losing all the salts and minerals out of your body, then the cramp can come at you a little bit. But I think he's decided that it's about time he let the others come through and sit quickly into this one. Still can't quite understand why he went away like that, but nevertheless he's had his moment of glory on television, and his sponsor will be happy, and he'll be happy, and all the Swiss people will be happy too, that he's now back in. Right, he's with Jäermann, who hadn't done anything to aid this break at all. Nor would we expect the 2 Banesto riders to do anything. Now, says he tapping the side of his nose. Jäermann is quite a useful, 20 kilometres to go. Jäermann is quite a useful climber, and I wonder if he's going to try and clop off, or whether he'll stay with this one. He's certainly not done anything recently at all. So there we are, as the main group are still down the road. That's the 20 kilometre sign. So we've now got 1 group in front. It's simplified itself. 1 group behind, after all those little disparate bunches of riders have been chasing all day long. More of the drinks coming up to the riders. Perini looks quite happy on this one. What a strong team man he's been, and what a gutsy ride from Roche. And what a good bit of policing then from Banesto, Philipot there, then Delgado. You see, they can play such wonderful cards, the Banesto team, because he's being dragged up here at the moment. Delgado, 4:15, they've gone back to show the peloton that Muller's now being caught. And they really are going at it now. Look at this one. See the pink jersey then of O.N.C.E round the green jersey of Jalabert. They're certainly going to try, I think, and to see off Museeuw on that last climb for more useful points as far as Jalabert is concerned. So he's got his pink jerseys round about him. Well, I switched on to another transmission we've got there. I thought that one of the motorcycles was actually carrying out an interview down there. We were going to try and pick that one up as well, but he wasn't. He just got his camera right close into the field. We've got the helicopter shot here. What the producer does, you see that motorcycle now veering onto the gutter, getting a picture. We've got that picture now. Back in the central scanner, the producer program has different pictures coming in from Moto 1, 2 and 3 and the helicopter, and he's got them all up there, and he decides any one time which is the best one to go to. Oh, that's great, isn't it? Look at that. Absolutely magnificent. Well, I said that we were going to see the mountains of the Alps here at the crossroads, really, of where we are between Switzerland and Italy and the French Alps, and 3:05 it has come down. That long chase is beginning to work. Absolutely brilliant part of the world, but there's nowhere for these riders to hide now. It's going to be every man for himself when they hit the bottom of that climb. Lots of the teams thankful to get back in, but this is right grovelling in the gutter stuff here. Oh dear, I've been in this situation myself many times. I think, oh for Christ, why doesn't somebody ease up at the front? I'm grovelling here in all the grit and rubbish and what have you, trying to keep my wheel close to somebody else in front, and some old Charlie up there is ripping along. Hello, there's Sean Kelly's made it up there as well. He's always been in the sort of top 20 every day, Sean, and I wouldn't be surprised once we get over the mountains that we might see Sean, who's got enormous strength, having a little bit of a go, because he won't go off this tour, I don't think, without really trying. And he's already talking about riding next year as well. He hasn't made his mind up, but he's well on his way towards getting a record number of participations in the Tour de France. Lotto Fignon, 10:7:32. You can all read that for yourself, but the front pages of L'Equipe and most of the French papers, when Laurent won the other stage the other day, had to be seen to be believed. Well, I got my time on there. In fact, it's only just on 3 minutes and 10 seconds is the time gap at 20 kilometres to go. Still useful then, because on the climb that they've got at the end, they will not go anything like this sort of speed. So with the big mountain ahead, the big finish waiting these riders, we're going to take a short break. Please don't go away. It's going to be great. Just over 3 minutes. We're coming up in towards the sprint at Salanches, because that will be at some 15 kilometres to go. And that, in fact, is where Charlie Motti comes from. And if you didn't hear our story earlier on today, he has retired from the race. Great disappointment then that Charlie is out of the race, because he's got an enormous history of success. Here we are then at 15k, so the sprint at the special PMU points, not really, as far as these riders are concerned, of very great importance. And I don't think that Museeuw and Jalabert will go either, because the points have gone now. We're only taking 3, 2 and 1 through on the points, but 15 kilometres to go. Remember that 7-kilometre climb, it's beginning actually to go slightly uphill. So Roche, Perini, Delgado, they drifted over in the order which they've been for so long. And they'll score some points there, but they're not interested in that green jersey. Right now they're interested in winning this stage and punching as much time as they can do out of themselves and that chasing group. So the now then, Roche has drifted back. Is this fatigue, or does he just want something to eat or to drink? No, he got a little drink. And so on the front then, well, this is fascinating. Why is Philipot driving this one along? Well, certainly Delgado can benefit from this one, undoubtedly. And there may be some thought amongst the squad that it's worth staying away. I'm a bit surprised about Banesto letting the chase go on, but perhaps they thought now, with 15 kilometres to go and a 3-minute gap between them, that they're not going to get caught, and they might as well try and hammer Roche. And now then, was that just a slight mental aberration? Yes, it is. They're back in positions as before. I wonder whether they're going to start trying to attack Roche and Perini to split them up and make them go under pressure. But no, they've gone back into the same little system they had before. Jäermann just hanging off the back of this one. Roche again easing his back, just standing up. Yes, please. What about the commentators? Oh, we got ours here. We're okay. And let's have a look where... Well, Muller is still, I think, just in the shadow there, so he has hung on. Often what happens, unfortunately, when you've been away like that, is that the group comes through and the man with the hammer gets you, and you suddenly find yourself absolutely struggling and trying to stay with it. And through he goes and leaves you grovelling off the back. And right now, though, he's managed it. There we are. confirmation of his positions overall, but more importantly where the position is. It's down to old Father Time himself with his scythe and his hourglass full of sand, because the Perini giving himself a good splash all over. Sensible chaps drinking water today. It's no good if you're doing that with black currant juice. I can tell it sticks all over the place. But water, the #1 consumption today, when you can pour it down your back, you can spill your face with it, you can soak your hands in if they're getting all sticky. And yes, there is a definite uplift in the pace, and yes, Philipot is helping. Now then, the speed has certainly gone up as far as this little group is concerned on the front, and that, oops, sorry about this, we'll have a look at the mountains instead. And the main group, now that certainly is slowed. See how at one time they're all in the gutter, the dust was flying up off the wheels, they're right in the edge, they're now over the road at 250. It has come down, that serious chase has pulled something about 20 seconds out of it, but the arrowhead is still there, so the front end of this one is going pretty quickly. But you remember at one time we only had about 25 men in this peloton. A lot of the riders at the back have been able to catch up, and that is confirmation that they are whittling away after 252 kilometres covered from the 267 that we've got today. So that was taken with 15 kilometres to go, of which half of it is up, and I mean up, capital U, capital P. And it lies ahead of them, and there it is. Look in the distance, there's the snow, there's Mont Blanc. No, the finish isn't, fortunately, at the top of Mont Blanc, but it's a stinking big climb before they get there. And this flat bit down here is just to have a bit of a pipe opener, because that is where the effort will really come. And I wonder if Jäermann then is going to say that he'll wait here right until we get to the climb, because, as I said before, we're right on the edge of Switzerland. A lot of the Swiss people will be coming out this afternoon, having the Friday afternoon off, to have a little look at the race today. And so we can't be more than about 50. There we are, look at that. Fearsome, isn't it? Beautiful, beautiful scenery. And they're still at it. And yes, very much Gatorade in the green, and RMO with them as well. The pink jerseys, there are a couple of them at the front looking after Jalabert's interest. They can't allow Museeuw to rump up that final climb if he's got some effort from somewhere to stay with. They can't allow him to come past Jalabert and get maybe about 3 or 4 places further up than Jalabert. I shan't think that's going to happen, but you can never be sure at all. So once again, tremendous ride being put on here by Dirk de Wolf, wearing unlucky number 13. But it's not been lucky for him today. He's been really grafting away here. And Ruth Cavastani, we've seen him before on the front. Uriarte just going through. And there you can see that the Banestos are not doing much at the front, only one of them there. Of course, they've got 2 men down, further down, so perhaps they're going to wait until later on. Ducal Assal coming through. Well, Zeds have had so much work because a couple of days ago when we had that stage that Laurent Fignon won, you may have read about it, heard about it, that Greg LeMond went through an awful bad patch and got dropped off about a third of the way through the race, and Zed had to chase to bring him back. And he got back again, but day in, day out, he'd been dropped on the Escabel, he got dropped on the Grand Boulogne, he got dropped a couple of days ago, did Greg LeMond. But he's still in there fighting at the moment. We're having a good look at Pasqualino in the yellow jersey, right in the middle of this group. Look how Bugno is marking him, but moving through now. Finon's on his wheel. Perhaps the word has gone through now that it's the time to put the hammer down, and we might well see, look at Bugno in the rainbow jersey moving on, and Pasqualino spotted it. Lino in the yellow spotted him and moved up there through as well. Good of Lino. He's certainly defending that yellow jersey in fine style, is the young Frenchman. He's not allowing anything to go past him. He's riding with a head on his shoulders, which is certainly older than the actual age of his body. He's really working extremely well. His team and his team manager have been schooling him in the tactics, and my goodness, he spotted Bugno going through, and he's gone on his wheel. Well, I think it's, as far as these chaps are concerned, the gap is coming down, and will it be the lull before the storm? They can only keep up a certain pace, I think, having been out for so long. Roche still up there in the front. Have they gone just a bit too early? Will they be swept up by the time we get to the bottom of that climb? We'll wait then for the next time check to come through. That was just 10 kilometres ago, so there's only about 3 kilometres yet then. And yet again, this is useful as far as Roche is concerned, because Philipot has gone through yet again, and he's rolling this one quite quickly. That will certainly aid this break, because the two Carrera riders are beginning to struggle. So perhaps that Banesto said, look, let's stuff Lino today. Let's get Roche up there. Let's also get Delgado up there as well. That is quite an interesting move as far as they're concerned. And of course we know that Delgado can go very well indeed when it comes to climbing up mountains, so it could well be an attempt from Banesto to get a stage victory and put Delgado in there in a good commanding position up alongside Indurain. So this is a very, very interesting stage indeed. Getting then towards that big climb, we're going to take again a short break. Don't go away. Well, they're nearly there on this climb, just about to start up toward the top, and has Delgado decided it's about time for him to go and try and get the victory today? Well, we've got the back end of the bunch going under that banner. The actual deficit is just now around about 2 minutes and 50 seconds from the front of this group to the leaders we've just seen beginning the climb. So they've come down yet again. The gap is dropping bit by bit, so we will probably not yet see the gap is still 2:50, just confirmed on our headphones to my little button, because I pressed my watch as well. We get official time checks coming in as well as my own little timekeeping going on here. And Roche then driving them up this climb. Delgado has sat in all the way through. The riders here from Gatorade are beginning to try hard, because they know Bunyo is an equally good climber as well. He's won the mountain stage in the Tour de France, so he's another man, but they don't think at 2 minutes 50 he's got much chance unless they can whittle it down even further. But Chiappucci here, we're looking for points in the King of the Mountain. If anybody starts attacking this lot, I think we'll find Chiappucci will go with them and sitting there. Oh dear, that's it. Perini, who's ride himself absolutely out and out. He's now struggling, Perini. He's done a great job to help Roche all the way through. What a tremendous domestique he's been. 85th in the Tour of Italy last year, 120th in the Tour of France last year. He's one of those strong men that's in there to help the team captains. And now Müller is also paying for his attempt further in the flat to get away and win this stage. But Perini's coming back to him, fighting his way up again through Müller, and drifting off the front to Philipot, who've been with that early group as a man just watching it, policing it, is also blasted out. So it's left to Roche up in front with Jäermann, with Delgado. And Delgado looks remarkably compact and comfortable, sitting on Roche's wheel as they start this climb now up towards the top of the finish at Saint-Gervais Mont Blanc. One last time we came in 1990 by Craviola, who was a great mountain climber himself. But this is one where the men with guts and determination are going to come through, because you can never ever say that Roche hasn't got guts and determination. You can never say that about Delgado either. Both these two classy riders here are prepared to ride themselves into the ground. When Stephen won the Tour and the Tour of Italy and the World Championship, remember that one finish when he absolutely finished at the top. He went completely out and had to get oxygen to him to bring him round. Roche is that sort of rider. Delgado, a polished man too, knows how to fight back. Previous stage winner up in mountain finishes as well. So Delgado looking remarkably comfortable on Roche's wheel. He had to get up there to Roche, but he came the easy way. He waited until he got pretty close to it, then came across. He hasn't been away as long as Roche has. Jäermann was away with that early group together with Müller and Philipot, that went away after they went over the top and down out from the climb of the echelon. So Jäermann has been away now for something like 150 odd kilometres, either with a group or just on his own while they swept him up. So he's on a great ride today. Has he got anything left in his legs on this climb? Still 2 minutes 50. They certainly, I don't think that chasing group can jump across and catch these two. So settle back now and watch to see who's going to be first, second and third on this stage finish. The longest in the Tour, 267.5 kilometres to be covered in the blazing sunshine. There's been 29 degrees it has been today. The sun beating down on the backs of these riders. They've come along the flat path. This is where the Tour de France comes alive, in the mountains, with the spectators Many of them were out a couple of days ago to cheer Laurent Fignon in his attempt, as was successful to win the stage there down into Mulhouse after going over a big climb. Well, yet again, they moved on here. They keep going forward, but I believe in me, they have to get on the climbs up to 6 hours before the race comes through. The roads are closed, the best positions are taken. And now in the vantage points high up the mountain, they're listening on the radios. Those with portal television are picking the pictures up of these three riders pedalling up and down there. You can see that flat long road going away. That's the road they've come up towards this climb. And still these three riders out in front, and that is the main group now just about to start tackling that climb. Well, let's see who's on the front. And in fact, back here, it again, Carrera just putting markers on the front, watching this one. And that is a good, great ride by Carrera yet again today. They've in fact put quite a nice little blockage on, haven't they? Because Bontempi up there together with Chirkpucci, he's looking very, very, very nice indeed. And further back, the yellow jersey has got Indurain on his right shoulder, and further across on the right-hand side of the road, but left-hand side you looked at, I could see Bunyo. So those three men are there waiting for any of these three in front to crack. Well, what a way then for Roche to come back if he can finish up there, closing that gap on the overall leader, Lino. Because this morning, 4:15 down, the gap we've got now, he's not certainly going to take that yellow jersey, but he's doing enormous damage, I think, psychologically to the top men in this race. He was third this morning coming out into the race, and he's recognised now as a danger man. But what is it doing to his strength? Because still, Delgado has not done anything to aid this breakaway group. It was Philipot who drove it on for a bit, undoubtedly, I think, to help Delgado, who came into the race this morning 7 minutes 1 second down on Pascal Lino. So for the Banesto team, that's certainly going to help them, because they must be worried a bit how Chirkpucci with the Carrera team is lying sixth overall, 4:55 down. So Delgado is trying, I think, to leap over Chirkpucci with just 5 kilometres left to the top of this climb. The field behind now beginning to tail off. One or two of the riders, the lesser lights, you can see them there just off the back drifting away, and they're really screaming up this one, aren't they? It's an absolute race on the front. They're sprinting up this. They're determined to do all the damage they can do and to cut that deficit back, which at one time was over 4.5 minutes, and now it's coming down. It's somewhere around about 2.5 minutes. We'll wait for the next official time check on this ride up towards the top. Just now some 4.5 kilometres to go. Still Jäermann hanging on in there, the Ariostea rider in third spot. Delgado in the middle, Roche on the front. That gives you some idea of the speed of the peloton. Saint-Gervais, you can see alongside them the little railway going up. Oh, Delgado's blown. Well, that is a turn-up for the books. The crowd on the mountain railway looking down there. Let's see if Delgado, in fact, has just missed a beat with his gear change, or whether he's beginning to struggle. He's fighting his way back. No, he's looking down again. And he's replying once more. Delgado battling up again. But that will be taking some strength. No, was it a false move? He's now going to attack Roche. He pretended he was stuffed and he's gone. Delgado has done the old 1-2. It's been done before. You pretend you're stuffed and then you drop back and then you let rip like he did then. He came straight past Roche. He's got to get rid of Jäermann as well. What a brilliant ride by Delgado, coming back in this race with a bang now. Oh, brilliant performance. He's looked back to see he's got Jäermann on his wheel. Jäermann is looking remarkably comfortable at the moment. Well, this really, as far as Delgado is concerned, was supposed, I think, to be a solo ride to the top, but Jäermann courageously responded to that one, and he's got to go again. Delgado's going to keep accelerating, decelerating, accelerating, and Jäermann has got him absolutely at the moment on a piece of string. That is a very, very good bit of performance indeed by Jäermann. He's a previous champion of Switzerland, also in his time a stage winner in races like the Tour of Spain and the Tour of Switzerland, and he's mastering this one remarkably well indeed. Well, he's been in fine form throughout this race, Jäermann, and here we're seeing him back in action again. He took a third place on the climb into Valkenburg behind De Leon when Roche took second. Jäermann was third that day when the stage was won by De Leon. So De Leon won that one. Roche second, Jäermann was third up to Valkenburg. Jäermann again showing his climbing ability. And poor Stephen Roche then. Let's hope that the momentary loss of ability to respond to Delgado doesn't mean that he's stuffed totally and that he can stay away from the main group coming up. There's going to be a lonely old ride now as far as he is concerned. The camera concentrating on the leaders. Well, it's breaking up further down. We understand that the yellow jersey is about 9 seconds off Chiappucci. So further down the hill, the battle's raging too, and Chiappucci forging away from the yellow jersey, who's looking around and keeping up with Indurain and Bunyo at the moment. Whoops, went over one of those sleeping policemen in the road. Then I thought that the commissaire on the top was going to be bounced out of the car. So Chiappucci is really setting a hot pace further down the climb. We're looking at Delgado and Jäermann. Just behind them is Stephen Roche, still riding hard to try and stay in contention. Chiappucci it is who's stirring up the main field even further back down. As here we have some 3 kilometres left to go. Round about 5 minutes or just under that of racing to see which of these two riders can preserve the strength to try and win this stage today. Well, Delgado looks remarkably comfortable at the moment. And there we are, back down the field. In fact, I'm looking to see where the polka dot jersey, they pulled him back. He had about a 9-second lead at one time, Chiappucci, but they've got back to him. Ciccoli just behind him, then Indurain, then Lino. That was the leading pack at the front of that, what's left of the main field. These two then, and lodged in between them is Stephen Roche, who must really now be wondering if what he did was right. But Perini, if he's got some strength, may well come up to him and try and preserve that position on the mountain at the moment. But they're sprinting up this one. It's a long, long climb, which is going to sap the strength in the legs. And there we are, Muller absolutely hammering along on the flat part, now realises what it's like when he's got to this part of the climb, because his legs have gone all wobbly and he is struggling to stay with it. So still Delgado on the front, going up toward the top of this climb. So we're very close to the finish as far as Delgado is concerned. It might well bring Banesto a stage victory to add to the one that Indurain got in the time trial. With just 2 kilometres left to go, but Jäermann is looking remarkably comfortable right behind him. And it flattens out a little bit, then it goes round and up yet again. And look at Delgado driving hard on this one. The cars round about him are looking back down the road. No sign of Roche. That acceleration from Delgado ripped the legs off as far as Roche was concerned. Well, good ride then by Jäermann here. Still, I don't think we've seen the last of this rider, Jäermann. He's sitting in there very comfortably. He's had that second place already in the Tour. Is he going to go one better this time? The crowd are running across because they've been looking down the slope to see the race down further on. And this long straight stretch here, Roche will be looking up desperately, trying to see how far these two are in front. The Spanish flag being waved undoubtedly, with Indurain in second place over on classification, and here Delgado moving up slowly but surely. A fair chance that he is likely to benefit from this escape today as well. So still then, Delgado just on the front of this little one here. Jäermann sitting on his wheel, looking remarkably comfortable at the moment. The crowd now, fortunately, fairly well back on both sides of the road, but now they're narrowing down. The nearer you get to the finish, the narrower the gap between the crowd becomes. And so waiting for some of the time checks to come up further back down the road. They seem to have got more excited on this little battle at the front than putting up some time checks. Sorry about this, we've got a big picture breakup, so we're just giving a static picture of the beauties of this neck of the woods. We now have 1 kilometre to go. Let's hope it doesn't go wrong now and we get our pictures as underneath the kite that is... We're back down with the main group then, so we can get some pictures from this one there. Chiappucci, Indurain. Chiappucci had a little go to try and disrupt the the main field, but he's failed to do so. So I think he's now settling back and saying that's it. And so Chiappucci with Indurain. There, Alcala, all the top. Chiacola on the far side. Pasqualino done a great job today to stay with it. Up in front somewhere. We haven't seen him swept up and haven't had any information about where Roche has got to. Muller struggling somewhat as well. A lot of the big boys here, and yet another attack coming off yet again. So the Helvetia team determines once again to stamp their authority on this race as Laurent Juffo, the young rider who in that sprint the other day came across the line in second place behind Laurent Fignon, but he beat Pedersen in the sprint, and so he's gone away again, and marked by Luc Leblanc has gone across to him. So with the leaders now inside 1 kilometre, the main group is at 2 kilometres. That makes something like about 2 minutes or so, I suppose, the difference. You can see the clock on the left-hand side, which will give you an idea of what the gap is between the leaders when they cross the line and the main group, because it's all now to splitting the times down. Undoubtedly, here Delgado will find his way up the general classification, quite a little bit indeed, but nevertheless, the main group down below us does have most of the heads in there. Roche then now still struggling to stay in third place as Jäermann has gone away from Delgado. He looks remarkably comfortable here, Jäermann. So the stage success that eluded him the other day into Valkenburg is going to be his then. Ariostea once again nicking the stage. They were very dominant last year in the Tour, and it's Jäermann who's taken that one ahead of Delgado. Roche is going to come in for a third place, desperately then trying to preserve some of that gain he had on the yellow jersey. Here he comes then. You've got down the left-hand side the clock, so we'll have to wait and see what Roche's time is between him and Indurain and Lino. He was in third place this morning. He certainly will stay in third. He's not going to get back that 3 minutes on Indurain, but he's going to narrow the difference quite considerably. He's still ridden up very smoothly indeed. I think he decided, well, I can't win the stage, I'll preserve my strength, I'll do what I can to stay away from the rest of the gap then. So 39 seconds it was that he lost in those last 3.5 kilometres or so, and the speed has gone out of the main group. You can see how they are wall-to-wall cyclists. The spectator having to stand back up onto the gutter again, up onto the side of the road, as Perini then has swept up Philipot. Look at Perini bouncing his way up here. Well, I think he's going to buy a round of drinks tonight. He's of course non-alcoholic. It's got to be for Perini, because as far as Carrera is concerned, he's done a magnificent job today, and Roche, I think, will be thankful they've got a strong man like this in the team. Because Perini coming up then in towards the finish now then. Over the line, this 33-year-old rider from the Carrera team comes from Carpento, and he's now coming into sight. So that again, as far as Carrera and Banesto is concerned, we'll have both these two teams battling for team awards. They're lying number 1 and number 2 on the team classification. There's still Perini riding away. Don't think Philipot can come off his wheel as he looks back then. And so that's another useful bonus as far as Perini is concerned, because he started 8th this morning, 6 minutes 44 seconds down. He is now, let's look at this one. Chiappucci was 4:54, Ladanois 6:52, so he moved up a little bit. I think he probably pushed Ladanois out of the frame, but we'll have to see though, because they've been splintering on the climb as the little group broke up further down. But I've got my watch running really on the gap between Roche and the yellow jersey and Indurain. That is the one that really matters. Right further on down the climb, we still hasn't seen him coming. Yeah, the main group is coming round now to finish as the Acácio de Silva tries to work his way through. Can't do that then. Let's wait still. They're looking back over their shoulders to see where this group has got to. But I think at the moment then, it has grown, in fact. That certainly, I thought when they slowed down and went wall to wall, that Ciccoli comes up here, Acácio de Silva trying on the front to get himself a useful place. The clock's still showing that 2:41 has elapsed. They slowed considerably towards the end of that one, didn't they? Ciccoli looks back then. There is a battle for the sprint. Museeuw trying to get past Jalabert. Oh, wow! Oh, up went the arms. And I pressed the button. 2 minutes and 14 seconds have elapsed between Roche and Indurain's group coming across the line. So that this morning he started out just on 3 minutes down on on Indurain, just under 3 minutes in fact, so he really has cut that gap on the second place of Indurain. Great ride then by Steven Roche, hasn't taken it up in the second spot, as here we look back then at Jäermann getting that victory today. A well-deserved one, I should say, after that attempt in Valkenburg to win the stage, which came only to a second place. So he's got a second and a first to add to his list of successes over the years. So well done to Ariostea, yet another different winner in this tour. It's been changing day in, day out, and the whole of Switzerland will be pleased with that one, I'm sure. The massive crowd of people here gathering round to catch a sight of their heroes, and many of these riders will be very thankful to get off their bikes after the longest day in the saddle. I said earlier on, if you didn't hear the early part of the programme, they started at 9 o'clock Central European time this morning, and here we are just finishing at something around about quarter past four in fact. So there we are, the confirmation of the time they've been in the saddle. That is 7 hours and 10 minutes with the sun beating down. 29 degrees it's been during the latter part of this day. And so as Roche comes in here, he's thrown down the gauntlet. The question mark is, though, what has Steven done to his legs? How strong will he be for tomorrow? Because tomorrow we've got this very, very tough day indeed. I mean, today was bad enough, but in some respects it was a bit of a pipe opener for tomorrow, as Albert Bouvet, a previous rider in the Tour de France, now one of the technical directors of the course, watches Steven come across the line. Tomorrow we finish at Sethries, right up in the clouds more or less, because that's 2,020 metres above sea level. So we're going to have one like today, but multiplied many times over, because the climb tomorrow, they actually go up the whole of the last 12 kilometres or so is uphill, whereas this time they only had something like about 5 or 6 kilometres to climb up to the finish. So it's virtually doubled tomorrow. That's going to be a right old tough one. But before they get to the climb tomorrow, they've got to go over 2 first category climbs. The first one comes after 70 kilometres. The Hope category, the worst one of the lot, the Col d'Irazon, comes after 136 kilometres tomorrow. Then we go up over the Col de Mont Cenis after 178. So with those big climbs tomorrow, and there's no rest for the wicked either, because they have the first second category climb of the day after only 31 kilometres have been covered. So you need puff, you might as well blow, because you've got to get back on your bike and do it all again tomorrow. So the riders will set off tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock again, Central European time, on a stage that's going to keep them in the saddle until something round about 5 o'clock. So although the stage tomorrow is a bit shorter at 254 kilometres, it's not that much shorter, but it's going to be that much harder with all the big climbs as far as the riders are concerned. They've all ridden their hearts out today, and the crowd up there behind, the VIPs, have been gathered down to watch the activity. Each day they usually bring some great old cyclists from the past to join up with them, and I was very interested to see at Mulhouse they had Hassenforder up in the audience. Now, remember, Hassenforder was an absolute clown of a cyclist, a very good rider in the Tour de France, and I think probably champion of France, if memory is certainly correct, but he was in the audience in the VIP last 2 days ago. And I remember Hassenforder riding in the Isle of Man when we had the professionals go across. We had people like Delgado and Tom Simpson and the rest of it, and they all swarmed round him to get his autograph. And one of these lads came to me, he said, "Who was that?" I said, "Hassenforder." He said, "It can't be," and he showed me his autograph, and Hassenforder had signed it John Smith. Well, that's the sort of crazy thing that Hassenforder used to do. A lovely story of him in the when he was riding the 6th day at the Vel d'Hiver. He went actually to the Lido. He hired a big Delahaye motor car, one of the most biggest, swankiest motor cars he could do, and he drove it there, and he got his mate to go out and get out a red carpet and roll it down to the front of his car, so he can get out and go into the Lido across the red carpet. Nobody got to know about that and came to see him in the 6th day. So bike riders have to have a sense of humour. They also have to be able to watch the moves as they come, because there we saw Delgado nip past Roche just at a moment when Steven was suffering. But I think Steven will still be happy with his day today, because he's narrowed the gap on this man in the yellow jersey. But all due credit to Pascal Lino, who's got that yellow jersey yet again. He set himself to try and keep it to Luxembourg. He said, if I get to the time trial, that's it. He kept it after the time trial. He got over the first lot of climbs we had into Mulhouse. He kept the yellow jersey. He had his fingers crossed for today to win, to keep the yellow jersey. He's done it. He had attacks from Roche, who was there at one time, yellow jersey leader on the road, but he repelled that one. His team rode hard, the Gatorade team rode hard, and so at the end of it all he has kept that yellow jersey in fine style. But tomorrow then, those big tough climbs, can he really show us how he will be able to get up those as well? All due credit to him and to his team. They've responded today to all the pressure And I've no doubt about it, that yellow jersey lifts you up, and that's where they've got to go over the Alps tomorrow. In fact, as I said earlier on, one of the climbs tomorrow, the Col d'Isère, had snow on it, and we're going to have total coverage tomorrow. There's going to be enormous coverage on Eurosport. I think about 5 hours we've got. There's hours and hours of coverage tomorrow up there, and we just hope that the crowds don't come down, because the clouds often make our helicopters have difficulty picking up the pictures. But the massive crowds of people will be there. Let's hope the clouds stay away. The sun beats down on these riders. Let's hope it's not too hot, because they'll all be dehydrated after the performance today. And still that cool, calm, collected man, Miguel Indurain, with his very strong Banesto team, poised to try and take that yellow jersey off Pasqualino. But all due credit to this man today that won the stage. It's myself then, David Duffield, saying cracking day on the Tour de France. Do join us tomorrow. Bye-bye.